Welcome back to Unscripted Cancer. My name is Rick Miller, and this is episode number 2. And a couple things I wanted to say up front first. I said, as I talk about things and I share ideas here and things I've gone to, please realize this is my experience. It should never be considered a substitute for medical advice. You should be working very closely with your doctors and listening to them. I may give you things to ask them, but no means should you be coming here and saying this is how I'm going to get my advice. So again, I've got my disclaimer out of the way. There we go. Again, this is my personal journey of dealing with cancer that I wanted to share. I gave you a brief introduction last time. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time today just talking about the extent of what I've dealt with. And it started back in 2015. Standard PSA test for males as they go over the age of 50. You get something called, it's a prostate specific antigen is what PSA stands for. One shout out I would say, if you are a male, please don't ignore those routine tests. They make a big difference. Well, mine came back as elevated. And, they kind of think, sometimes they do. So they took a second test, came back elevated more, took a third test, came back elevated more, and then they finally decided to say, hey, let's do a biopsy and see what's going on. It's probably nothing. So going through the biopsy, I'm the type of person that I like to go out and do my research. What options do I have if they tell me I have cancer? And I will tell you, find out what works with you, because if you search the internet, you're going to get so many different things and you have no idea who you're talking to. So stick with some reputable sources. Find those health systems that have decent reputations. Places like Mayo Clinic, MD Anderson, etc. Stick with resources. Don't go to forums. That would be my advice to you. You're going to get so much stuff and you're going to walk away scared. Okay? Why did I do that, you might ask? My goal was I wanted to have some thoughts, and if they told me I have cancer, I didn't want to be overwhelmed with emotions. It was just, okay, I heard you. What about A, B, C, D, and E? Okay? So that's what I did. And I can tell you right now, my wife is the other side. So she's like, we'll deal with the bridge when we cross it. So no one way is right or the other. Okay? It's just important to follow your heart and your instinct to what happens. So we sit down in the doctor's office. I'll be honest, I was pretty much expecting him to say, yes, you have cancer. And so when he did, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, so prostate cancer is on a Gleason scale from 1 to 10. I figured I'm going to be in the low end of things, so I have all these different options. I'm ready to go. And he told me I'm at a 9 out of a 10. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So I didn't know what to do. Okay, so he tells me at this stage, because I was under 50 at that time, and he's like, we should just do surgery. So that's the way you should go. And that's what we do when you're this high, just have everything removed. We could do radiation, but you'll have issues with that 10 years down the road. Let's do a full radical prostatectomy. So that's what I decided to do. So it's going to be my first pause of what I would tell you to do, even though when the doctor says you have cancer. Now, if the doctor looks at you and says, and we need to deal with this now, and he has a serious concern, then you react. I would have preferred to step back and pause and say, okay, let me, one, absorb this. Let me go back and do a little bit more research versus just reacting at that moment. I am very pleased to say I have a friend that's going through this now in 2019, and they don't immediately jump to surgery. They have different options. So that's the beauty of medical industry. They continue to change, and they continue to grow. And you might say, okay, well, why am I not bitter? You know what? You can't be bitter about what happens to you in life. You accept it and you move on. I'll put a plug in. I would really encourage you to go over and look at One Unscripted from my friend Pete. He has a beautiful story there, and of the same idea of just accepting what's happening and move. I can look back and be frustrated, but I'm not. We are where we are. So again, go through radical prostatectomy, get the results back, and it's interesting when you walk in and the doctor says, well, the results came back and says everything is clean. I would have never expected that based on what I took out of your body, because it was deformed and oversized. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a strong believer in Christ. I prayed through this whole thing, and I believe that that's why things came back. He took care of it. It came back clean. Everything was good. I was very strong up to the point of rolling into the operating room. I can remember rolling into that operating room. As soon as we entered the room, I started breaking down and I was bawling. And I wish I knew this nurse's name. She grabbed my hand, looked at me, and said, "It's going to be okay." And she held my hand for at least the next 12 seconds before the stuff went in my body and I was gone. Okay, boom, you're out. Oh, it's kind of amazing. But people are there to care, and I think that's a beautiful thing of people around you. And again, the idea of sharing. Fast forward a little bit, 2 years later, I've been 2 years now, 2015, 2017, everything looks good. I walk into my next PSA test and everything should be close to 0, and suddenly we're at 0.2, which would imply, medically speaking, insurance companies would classify you've had a reoccurrence of prostate cancer. Wow, that was a hard one to swallow as well. Okay, I thought we were good, but you know what? I picked myself up and you keep moving again. And 2018 was an interesting year, but I think I'm going to hold that to the next episode. Just a real quick synopsis. 2018 was surgery to remove infected lymph nodes from the prostate cancer, to turn around to then be diagnosed with Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in my left hip. I was to the point where I could barely walk. I had to walk around with a cane. Though I admit it was kind of fun in class. Whenever students would give me a hard time, I'd just pick up my cane and say, "Don't make me come back there." Again, you gotta laugh. You gotta just move with life. There's beauty in life no matter what's happening. Going on with the chemo all summer, radiation treatments through my whole semester, I missed very little to no classes. To end up the year with a emergency gallbladder surgery. And then I ended up being septic. But that's another story. I guess I want to wrap it around to, so many things in life are about perspective. What are you going to do? Doctor looks at you and says you have cancer, and I know it's the most horrifying thing you can hear. I know what it feels like. It's interesting when doctor tells you you have cancer a second time. Or how about you have 2 different kinds of cancer now? By no ways am I trying to say I am more stricken down than the rest of you. That's not what I'm after. Everybody deals with life based on what's going on. You don't have to have cancer to be feeling the same thing. But my message to you is you have purpose, you have life. And my takeaway would be to always take that deep breath and just find the beauty in the moment around you, because none of us know what's going to happen in the next hour. Okay? Take care. I would encourage you to go home and hug your loved ones. Tell people around you love them. Share. Be part of people's life. And just feel the beauty of giving to others. And again, I thank you so much for listening to me. Take care.